Good morning, Busy Bees. Today we are going to be making a butternut squash pasta sauce. It is very easy to make. It is delicious, it is nutritious, and it is one of my family's favorite recipes. I am going to be making a very large batch, but I will let you know how to scale that down. Butternut squash is one of the cheapest squashes you can buy. I have a video that I posted about buying local, buying from your neighbor's garden stand. So this squash was huge. I think it was maybe 10 or 11 pounds total. After I peeled it and cut it up into small chunks, it is now 6.5 pounds of squash. For that, to that, I am adding 3 red bell peppers and 3 medium onions. If you were going to make a small regular batch, you would use a medium butternut squash, and I'm going to say 6-ish pounds is probably a good size. And for each squash, you're going to use 1 to 2 red bell peppers and probably a medium onion. Okay? And the rest of the ingredients are, you're going to need some either vegetable stock or chicken stock, whatever you have in your cupboard. Today I'm going to use my homemade vegetable stock that I made this summer. It was from August. And all this is just vegetable scraps that I boiled down and seasoned a little bit to make a stock. And then I canned it. So I brought up four quarts. I'm not sure how many we're going to need, but I will let you know. The other things you'll need is some garlic. Now I have 8 cloves, very large cloves of garlic because I'm making a large batch. But use as much garlic as you like. If you don't like garlic, leave it out. Salt and pepper and some spices. We need some chili powder. We need some onion and garlic powder, paprika, cumin, coriander, whatever spices you like. This recipe is very forgiving, and no matter how you change it up, it's going to be delicious. I have made it also with a little bit of carrot in it. In the end, it is all pureed together. So, you know, you can add whatever you like to it. I wouldn't add necessarily anything green. It's going to discolor it a little bit. This is also a very good recipe to hide some vegetables in if you have picky eaters at home. My kid has always loved this. He hasn't been a picky eater. Every so often he doesn't want to eat something, but kids love this recipe. All right, so let's get to it. Okay, in this pot here, I have just a couple tablespoons of oil heating up. Now this pot is huge because it's actually my water bath canner. This is the largest pot I have, so this is what I'm using. That is just a little bit of the water bubbling out. I just washed it just prior to this. So into this, I'm going to put all my peppers and onions. And we're going to sweat this down a little bit. If you want your onions to brown, that's going to make your sauce taste really, really good as well. Stir it around a little bit. And just let that cook for a little while. Let it sweat down. Brown it if you'd like. I am going to season it with a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. All right, so we will come back when this is all nice and cooked down. Alright, so as our vegetables continue to sweat down, I'm going to add my garlic. And I just cut the garlic up into larger chunks. No need to mince it or do anything fancy with it. It's going to get pureed in the sauce in the end. Now, do keep in mind you don't want the garlic to be in very small pieces, because the longer garlic cooks, the bigger the pieces should be. Garlic can get very bitter if it's cooked for too long. Okay. Also to this, I'm going to add my spices. Now, all I did was get a teaspoon of each of my spices. There was paprika, there was chili powder, onion and garlic powders. There was also cumin and coriander. Now I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of cayenne in here too. And the spices that you use are completely up to you. We are going to adjust the seasoning later on. So just use what you like. If you like more of one spice, use that. It all works very well together. And as the garlic and the spices heat up, oh, they smell amazing. So we're gonna let that go for a couple minutes, and then we're going to add our squash. Okay, now that our veggies have been sweating down a little bit, I'm going to add my squash. And this is a whole ton of squash. And I prepped this last night because if you've ever cut butternut squash, you know it takes a long time to get it peeled, cut up. So there's that. To this, we're going to add our broth. And again, I don't know how much it's going to take, so I'm just going to start pouring. Just going to add a little bit of water to get the seasonings off the bottom. And I'm going to turn the heat up to high. I turned it down momentarily so my veggies would not burn. Let's see. You don't want the squash to be covered. That would make it too runny. I think I'm going to stop there. So this is going to be, so far I've used 2.5 quarts for this much squash. And hopefully you can see it is just below the top of the squash. And what you're going to do now is boil the squash until it is mushy. And all the other vegetables are also mushy. And then we'll puree this and adjust seasonings. So while our vegetables simmer away, I'm going to talk a little bit about preserving the sauce. Now you see I'm making a huge batch of it, so it is going to have to get put up. In my case, I'm going to can it. There is some safety concerns always with canning. There's not really an approved way of canning this recipe, so it is my method. I'm not going to share it with you at this time just because I don't want to share something that others may feel is unsafe. I follow the my kitchen, my rules mantra. So what I do recommend you do with the sauce, if you do make a larger batch, is freeze it. It freezes really, really well. So what you can do is take gallon-size freezer bags or quart-size freezer bags, put a little bit of sauce in there, get all the air out, lay it flat and freeze it that way. Or you can do it in a food saver bag as well. When it's time to serve it, you would take it out of the freezer, even maybe a day ahead or that day. It actually does really well just getting heated up right from being a frozen brick. Take it out of the bag, put it in a wide saucepan or a flat pan, and just heat it until it is all melted, okay? The way I finish the sauce up is I like to put a little bit of cream in mine right before serving. It just makes it that much more luxurious. It is delicious that way. You can use heavy cream, you can put a little bit of butter in it, sour cream, whatever you like. Just be creative. The other thing I like to put in it is a little Parmesan cheese. Now, how would you serve this? Obviously over pasta. It is a pasta sauce. The other way that I like to eat it is you can put it over rice. If you just have some white rice, even leftover rice, just mix it in with a little bit of sauce. It is delicious. I do have a butternut risotto recipe that I will share one of these days. You can put it over barley. You can pretty much put it over anything. Put it over your chicken. It is really, really yummy. Get creative with it. Okay, let's see if our vegetables are done. Something went awfully wrong with my video and I lost the footage of me showing you the vegetables being completely cooked down. Basically what you're looking for is for your squash and your onions and peppers to be mushy. You can just mush them up with a fork. After that, you're going to blend the entire thing, okay? So you can either use an immersion blender. I put mine in my regular blender because I like it to be very, very creamy, okay? And after that, we are going to adjust the seasoning. So I ended up putting my sauce into the blender because the handheld, the immersion blender, just wasn't getting it as smooth as I normally like it. So this is what I ended up with, pretty large pot. At this point, once it's all blended, you're going to taste it and adjust for seasoning. I did end up putting just maybe a teaspoon more of salt, a little pepper, a little cayenne, but you season it the way you like it. You don't have to heat this back up if you're going to freeze it. Since I am canning mine, I'm going to bring it back up to a simmer before I put it in the jars. Okay, and if you wanted this a little bit thicker, just go ahead and simmer it down at this point. Just reduce it a little bit. I think this is a good consistency for me. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this recipe. If you make it, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think of it. See you next time.